Good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you this morning about an experience that I've had just last night, and it really wasn't pleasant, but I put to work what I teach, and I've come through on this end feeling much, much better. But I did have some epiphanies along the way that I want to share. So, what happened was my husband and I went to an event last night, and I got to experience Mean Kids. I literally, as an adult, sat down at a table. My husband was still outside, he hadn't come in, and I sat down with a couple of people, and they truly were rude. They made fun of how I ate. I It made me completely trigger right back to childhood of feeling left out and feeling like the goofy kid. And I definitely felt hurt and upset. And so I just got up and I smiled and pretended everything was fine. And I just got up, went outside with Michael and with other people, and then came back in when there were some more people that had filled in that table. I didn't take the initiative to move from the table that I was sitting at, which I could have done, but I didn't. That was kind of would have been a big move. But I sat a little bit down and was surrounded by lovely people that had wonderful conversation, very engaging, and had a nice rest of my evening, except I had that energy of hurt. I definitely was hurt. And I come home and I actually talked to Michael in the car on the ride home about it. And he told me that the people that I sat down with, he said, Kelly, they're just, that's who they are. He said that they're not that nice. They're not, they just aren't. If they ever watch this, won't that be a treat? But it's the truth. I'm not saying any names, and they probably don't even realize how hateful that they were. And they definitely, this husband and wife, there was a feeling of ganging up. One said one thing and then the other one just sparked right off it and just got such joy out of it. It was the most animated they were the whole friggin' time. So anyway, I told Michael about it, and I come home, and in my mind I knew, I said to myself, I've got to do some inner child work about this, because it just, every time I thought about it, my chest hurt. It made me feel upset. So this morning Michael's gone off to work, and I practiced what I preached, and I sat down. I'm sure, like some of you guys do, we almost don't know, what are we supposed to say? I mean, what are we supposed to say? So I took some breaths into my adult self, and I said to my little girl self, would you like to talk about last night and what you feel? And she did. And she was terribly hurt, and it made her feel very left out. It brought her back to lots of times in childhood when she would be with the kids that didn't have asthma and could run fast, and they all made fun of me, and of her, me, whatever. And it took me back to that feeling of not left out. But then in the conversation, there's two big things that happened. One of them was when my adult was able to say, there was my little girl said nobody wanted to talk to me, nobody was being nice. And that's where that imagination thing came in, because her imagination took two people's unkindness and blanketed everybody for the rest of the evening, when everyone else for the rest of the evening were lovely. And I was in the middle of lots of conversation, and the people who had been rotten to me, not that people saw them being rotten, because that's the way rotten people work. They don't do it in front of everybody. But no one was drawn to them for conversation, but there were all kinds of people that were drawn to me and laughing with me and having fun and kidding around and just having a nice, enjoyable evening with me. That's the truth. And it was my little girl's imagination that was imagining that I sat and was just alone and nobody loved me and I felt like an outcast. That's not the truth. That is not the truth. And so adult Kelly was able to help inner child to see that. And not, I didn't tell her, I didn't preach it to her, but I just said, well, what about when so and so joked with you and laughed with you? And well, yeah, that was fun. Well, what about when so and so talked to you and shared this with you? Yeah, that was fun too. I like that. And that's the way the conversation went. But then something else reared its head. I got a big wave of pissed off. And I remember back when I was really into the inner child work with my counselor, that I think I've shared with you guys watching that YouTube video or podcast, I guess it was, The Adult Chair, where she really, in a beautiful way, I can't think of her name, but her podcast is called The Adult Chair. And it's in the first at least 3 or 4 episodes are really, really good. And I'm sure the rest of it is too. I didn't watch the rest of it. But she describes the adult, the inner teenager, and the inner child. Well, at that time, I named my inner teenager Darcy, and Darcy's feisty. And when I got that wave of anger, I said, Darcy, is this you? And I heard, yeah. And I said, well, what do you want to say, sweetheart? I am fucking pissed off. And I said, well, tell me more about that. Why are you so angry? Why did those people have to be so mean to her? Why did they have to be so friggin' mean? And so then we talked about that, and we talked about the anger, and we talked about that protective instinct. And we talked about the truth of the situation. The truth of the situation is that without creating a scene, I very quickly removed myself from the space when it was just them and me. I got away. That's the truth. I removed myself. I didn't have to cause a big scene. And I said that to Darcy. I said, I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of having any idea that they caused me any pain. And I get to choose who I am. And that's what I said to Darcy. I said, I don't choose to be the kind of person that lashes out and is mean back, because my head, and now I realize it was that voice of Darcy, was, I ought to text her and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, I'm not going to lower myself. I'm not going to lower myself. That's all that negative energy. That's not who I am. It's not part of my world. So I reminded Darcy of the truth, because there was almost a feeling of, why didn't you do something? Why didn't you stand up for her? Why didn't you protect her? Well, actually, I did. I removed us from the situation very appropriately, set in a different place when I came back, surrounded by lovely people. I did. Had Michael right there. No one's going to mess with Kelly when Michael's around, I'll tell you that. And so I painted that picture for Darcy. I helped her to see the truth. I helped her to get out of that imagination of creating this thing that wasn't true, and reminded her of the facts. It's that Brene Brown thing again. What is the facts and what is the story that you're telling yourself? And that story is imagination. And so I don't want to be in my mind practicing all the mean things I could say to those people, because guess what that's doing? That's creating a circumstance that I would need to defend myself. No, I don't want any more of that. So I want to let that energy go. I want to be completely done with it. And now, honestly, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I thought, I know this is you're going to laugh at me, but I thought it really does work, because every time I thought of last night, up until I did my work, I got that physical. And now when I think about it, I feel kind of neutral about it. I feel removed from it. Susie wants to say hi. I feel removed from it. And that's what this work is about. Both Darcy representing the anger, and my inner child representing the hurt. And we dealt with both of the feelings, and I let them tell me what they thought, and I let them express themselves. And then I also, when I was mostly done, I thought to myself, so what, is there anything left I need to do? And I did. And I said, Darcy, I love you so much. You are so strong. You do such a good job. You've always done such a good job protecting little Kelly. But you know what, sweetheart, I've got this. You don't have to be angry. You can just enjoy all the things in life that you want to enjoy. You don't need to be angry and worry about her, because I've got this. I'm going to, just like I did last night, I'm going to make sure she's okay. She was, and we've learned, and we've grown through this. And then my little girl, I love you so much. You're so sweet and so kind. And it's just, you are so perfect just the way you are. And I love you just the way you are. And we all feel better, all three of us. And so I wanted to share it. I also want to give a shout out. I got this in the mail yesterday from I guess would I call you guys that have one-to-ones with me a client? I don't know. Customer? I don't know. Friend, I guess I'll call from a friend that I did a one-to-one with. And she's got a website, Kate Segal, I think is how you say her name. She is very, very talented, and she's from New York City, which is so cool. I can't find it right now, but I'll mention it again. I've decided that I'm going to put that in my backdrop so that you can see some of the beautiful things that people share with me. So have a great day, everybody. Subscribe if you haven't. And you know what? Share with a friend. Share these messages and these videos with your friends, because that is a great way to spread this word of empowerment, of self-empowerment, because that's what I am all about. Learning at the grand old age of 61 years old how to be hurt and then get over it, literally get over it, without having to tell the story 1,000 times and crab about it, because we know our words are powerful. We don't want to keep creating. So I just, blessings, showers of unicorns and rainbows to all of you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.